The total for all of those supplies is $446. That is absolutely crazy to me. Somebody to be spending that amount of money on a new hobby that you don't even know that you like yet is wild. Man, I can't believe us. Are we really out here using buy now, pay later, Klarna, Affirm to buy markers? Just those 2 sets of markers you see on the screen cost almost $600. This would take 27 years to read all of those books for the average person.
A lot of copies of Fourth Wing. I really like this book, and I'm gonna go through my whole collection. It's been a while since I did this, and everyone really liked it last time.
Today, we're going to be talking about how TikTok has changed the way we experience hobbies such as reading and coloring. And this video is in no way to hate on these creators and to hate on these hobbies. Please do not go send hate to these creators. I would like to leave all discussions in the comments down below. I'm also not hating on hobbies. Hobbies are amazing. They're a way we can unplug and take a step back from life stressors and just do something we love and get lost in it. This is about how online platforms, especially TikTok, can warp our relationship with hobbies. The intent here is simple and is to ask, are we really enjoying these hobbies or are we simply performing them for the algorithm? By the way, I'm in a different location today. I'm currently house sitting, so hence the different background. Starting it off with colortok. Coloring, that mindless hobby that we all used to love to do as kids. Well, now we're doing it as adults, which is totally fine. Coloring was once seen as relaxing, almost meditative even when you get into that flow state. But the version of coloring I'm seeing on TikTok feels almost stressful. When I was diving into colortok, I noticed this underlying theme. There seemed to be this subtle pressure to show that you're really into it, that you're really an artist. And how are people doing that? People aren't showing how much joy the coloring hobby brings them. They're showing off picture-perfect coloring pages, all from the same coloring book, mind you, and showing off massive hauls of supplies. This feels eerily similar to haul content that we really need to get away from.
There's Mummy's mortgage. Oh, there's the food that we could have had this month. In it goes. Oh, there's our holiday to Bermuda going right in the cake.
So I know this is supposed to be a joke, but in the sound effects you can hear there's the mortgage, there's the holiday to Bermuda, which is kind of implying that there are so many other more important things she could have spent her money on than art supplies. And I'm not attacking coloring. Coloring is great, hobbies are great, and it's worth it to spend your money on that if you love art. But it says here what it looks like starting coloring talk. If you're just starting out a new hobby, why do you need to go all in and spend like $500 on markers and supplies? If you're a newbie at something and you're picking up a new hobby, the best thing to do is start small. Usually when we start a new hobby, we're super stoked about it in the beginning and we're super excited about it, which is awesome. But as time goes on, it kind of loses its novelty or we realize we don't even like the hobby. So if you abandon that hobby, you essentially just wasted all of that money that you invested. And that becomes a problem when we also talk about overconsumption, because where do all of these markers and half-used coloring books go? Yes, they might end up at the donation center, but does anyone really want to buy a half-used coloring book? A lot of it is going to end up in the landfill. The comments are also a little bit concerning. The top comment says, "Me at this moment eyeing the 320 Ohuhu marker set like I don't got bills to pay." So from what I've gathered and what I've seen on colortok, these Ohuhu markers are super popular and is pretty much the only marker used. And if you're prioritizing buying these markers over paying your bills, that's worrisome. Someone else commented, "I just dropped $150 on coloring stuff to get started and still didn't get everything I want." That's the thing. Why are we normalizing dropping $150 on a new hobby when we can just go to our local store, buy a coloring book, and use any of the coloring markers and pencils that we might already have at home? Or just starting small, buying a small set of markers or small set of coloring pencils and one coloring book. And this is a lot of markers. I'm pretty sure one of those round cylinders with markers is the 320 set of Ohuhu markers. She definitely at least has 2 of those, and then she has another smaller container of markers as well. This 320 pack of Ohuhu markers goes for $290. So not even including any of the other supplies, just those 2 sets of markers you see on the screen cost almost $600. That's absolutely nuts to me. That's like half or a third of some people's rent payments. So another person getting started with coloring and spending $400 straight out the gate when they don't even know if they like the hobby yet. Someone commented, "Me every new hobby I pick up, LOL." That to me tells me you're just impulse buying and starting new hobbies as soon as you're bored with the last one. Oof, this one's bad. Someone said, "Bruh, I had to do monthly installments for the dang Ohuhu markers." Monthly installments. Man, I can't believe us. Are we really out here using buy now, pay later, Klarna, Affirm to buy markers? This is reminding me of the Chipotle burrito thing that somebody Klarna'd. Do you guys remember that story? Yeah, somebody was paying monthly for their Chipotle burrito. We really need to rein it in. This is getting out of hand. Somebody else said, "This video just sent me into an hour spiral of coloring talk, which was immediately followed by adding a million things to my Amazon cart. So thanks for that." And that's the problem with these hobby corners of TikTok. They're just an avenue for overconsumption. Another problem with Color Talk is it's more about these unboxing and haul videos than it is about actually coloring.
I might have gone a little bit overboard. Look, the coloring talk girlies got to me, and I kind of blacked out and hyperfixated on all the coloring supplies. So yeah, let's do a little haul. Most of these things I got with TikTok shop coupons, or I got as free samples, except for my Ohuhu markers. I did buy those like fully by myself, but I did get a really good discount too. Let's start off with the coloring books, and I do have more on the way. Like I said, I went a little bit overboard. Some of these came in like packs, so there are duplicates, but I think I will be giving some away to you guys, so stay tuned. First, we got the Coco Wayo Into the Gardens Bold and Easy coloring book. Then we also got the Girl Moments by Coco Wayo, the Stress Relief, the Cozy Spaces, Comfy Days. We also got, I don't know how to pronounce this. Is it like Higgy? I don't know. Somebody correct me in the comments. Another Stress Relief. Like I said, there's duplicates. Another one of these. Oh, and then I also got Spooky Cute. Little Spooky. I've seen these all over my For You page, and I think they are so adorable. We also got Fuzzy, that word that I can't pronounce, Ocean Scene, and then I seen this all over TikTok shop. It's this like 100 quest color by number. So it's instead of like the diamond by number, it's like color by number. So you literally don't even know what's on the pages. You kind of just color and find out. I'm so excited to use these. Moving on to the coloring supplies. Ohuhu sent me some journal pens. These are what they look like. I also got some Jelly Roll original gel ink pens off the TikTok shop. There's literally so many in here. Like I said, I went a little bit overboard. And then I also got these Shuttle Art acrylic paint marker pens, the Ohuhu acrylic marker pens, which they actually sent me these, and also these acrylic marker pens. I literally have so many acrylic marker pens now. I heard so many good things about these though. I'll link everything that I can link in this video. And then of course I had to order some of the Ohuhu alcohol markers. There's literally so many in here, and I bought these myself, but TikTok shop gave me like a 30% off coupon. So yeah, I got a really good deal. I'm literally so excited to use all this stuff, and I have more coloring books on the way. Like I said, I think this is like a hyper fixation of mine right now. Y'all coloring talk girlies have fully influenced me, fully convinced me. Stay tuned for some coloring videos, some coloring lives, and if you want to get this stuff, I will link as much as I can in this video.
So I'm seeing a lot of similarities between this and restocking videos, hauls, unboxing. It's really giving that. And that's the underlying problem with Color Talk, is it's just glorifying overconsumption. And if you go to this girl's profile on TikTok, every single one of her videos is just shilling products. I did a little bit of digging and I went to her profile. I clicked on the color with me. You'll see she has a series of her coloring in these coloring books. So she posted this unboxing haul video around Christmas, and the last video I see in the series is the end of February. So she only kept this hobby for about 2 months. And that's the thing with TikTok. I feel like when things get popular on there, people pick it up for a week and then they move on to the next shiny thing next week. Here's another unboxing video where someone is spending a psychotic amount of money on their new hobby, coloring. And at the end, we're going to go through the prices of everything she bought. So I counted about 16 coloring books, and these popular coloring books on TikTok, I think are those Coco Wayo coloring books. They cost about $8 each. So for the coloring books, that costs $128. She also bought the 320 set of Ohuhu markers, which costs $290. She also had 2 6-packs of Jelly Roll pens. Each of these costs $9, so that costs $18 total. And then she had a pack of 6 Ohuhu markers colorless blenders, and that costs $10. The total for all of those supplies is $446. That is absolutely crazy to me. Somebody to be spending that amount of money on a new hobby that you don't even know that you like yet is wild. That is only a little bit less than the average household spends on monthly groceries. According to the latest data released from the Bureau of Labor Statistics in late 2024, the average monthly cost of groceries is about $504. And overconsumption isn't the only problem with colortok. The other aspect of it that's pretty toxic is how TikTok turns coloring into this performance and into this show. You're not just doing the hobby, you're specifically curating it for likes, followers, and validation. And when everyone is showcasing their picture-perfect coloring pages, it starts to feel more like a competition. Social media has this way of turning hobbies into a show, where people are more focused on the amount of likes and followers they can get than the enjoyment and the transformative experience that the hobby brings them. To me, that's so toxic, and it sucks the fun out of the hobby. You should be doing the hobby because you love it, because you love the meditative experience you get from coloring, not because you can perform it for other people. I actually counted all of the books on one of the shelves, and I counted about 50. And I saw there were 5 shelves, and the 6th shelf was about half full. So let's say these are all Coco Wayo books, which are the specific books that are all the rage on colortok. So take the 50 books on each shelf, multiply that by 5 shelves, that's 250 coloring books, times the $8 that each coloring book costs. That's $2,000 in coloring books, and that doesn't even include markers and other tools. I'm sorry, but unless you're a professional artist, why in the world do you need $2,000 in coloring books alone? To me, that just screams peak overconsumption and is so unnecessary. And I commonly see people defending these creators saying it's their decision, it's their choice, it's their money. If they're not going in debt to buy all of these products, then it's not our business. And in some regards, I get that. But at the same time, overconsumption affects us all. There's a real cost to create and distribute these products, and climate change and deforestation affects us all, and we all have a role to play. And it's especially concerning when these influencers are showcasing this on their pages and encouraging others to do the same. So guys, it is not normal to have $2,000 worth of coloring books. This is absolutely insane.
Oh, hi, welcome to the Cozy Coloring Club. Hi, yeah, I just got my books and my markers, and I just am so happy to be here. Oh, we're so happy that you're here. I just need you to give me the password. Oh, I didn't know there was a password. Oh, it's no big deal. We actually have it written down so that everyone can join. Oh, what? It's actually right here. Can you read that for me? Hija, Higgy, Hygie.
Another problem I'm seeing with colortok is there's really no diversity in the materials that people use. Everyone is using these Coco Wayo books, everyone is using these Ohuhu markers, and in order to be considered a colortoker or an artist, you have to be using these materials. There are influencers that do these Color With Me series where they show a particular coloring book, a particular page with these exact markers and the exact colors so that their audience can follow along. So in order to feel included and feel like an artist, you have to buy the exact materials. This turns what could be a freeing and creative activity into a race to conform. And now we turn our attention over to booktok. Similar to colortok, booktok is another online hobby space for readers. And reading is so good for us, I will be the first to admit that booktok has done a lot of good. It's made reading cool again, especially for younger audiences, and it's also helped self-published authors find success when they previously didn't have luck with traditional publishing houses. But similar to colortok, it also fuels overconsumption. Because of the algorithm of TikTok, we tend to see the same books being pushed on booktok. And I also saw a quote floating around this community, which was, reading books and collecting books are two different hobbies. And from the research that I did on booktok, that is most definitely what I saw. Book hauls are really popular on booktok. And this ends up fueling overconsumption because people then can't keep up. They end up buying so many books and doing book hauls, but then not actually reading them. Filming a haul is quick and easy. They just go to Amazon, add a bunch of books to their cart, and have it at their house the next day. Or they go to Barnes & Nobles and buy a bunch of books and then make a video of themselves showing all the books that they're going to read. But reading a book and then doing a review of that book actually takes time. So people end up buying way more than they could ever hope to read.
This is honestly a cry for help because I recently counted my whole entire physical TBR for a YouTube video and I have 347 books on my physical TBR. I know that is overconsumption, I know it's excessive, I don't even know how it got to this point, I just clearly have a book buying addiction. But that's why I'm asking you guys for help, because I need some ideas of how I can tackle that next year and really get that number down. I'd love to have the number at like 200 by the end of next year, but I don't know how achievable that is. But I was thinking like read 10 books and then I can buy one book. But I also need some fun like tackling my TBR video ideas so I can actually have fun while I'm reading my physical TBR.
By the way, I had to look up what TBR meant, and that is to be read list. So the girl in this video is saying that she counted her physical to be read list, which is the books behind her on the shelf, and she has 347 unread books. Something else that stuck out to me was at the end of this video, she said, help me think of ideas on how I can read all these books while having fun at the same time. She also mentions having an addiction to buying books. To me, that sounds problematic because if you enjoyed reading, you wouldn't need help having fun reading those books. And the act of reading would be more exciting than buying the books themselves. Going back to that 347 books, the average person reads 12 books per year. So if we divide this would take 27 years to read all of those books for the average person. Imagine in 27 years, your taste in books will probably change. And so a lot of the books that she bought today, she may not enjoy for years to come. Here's another video from a creator who feels like booktok is more about competition than actually enjoying reading.
I read 100 books last year because I saw everyone else setting those kind of reading goals the year before, and I was like, oh, I can do that. But it sucked. I thought it was a challenge. I wanted to impress myself. I wanted to stay on top of the conversations that were happening. I finished a lot of books that I hated simply because I didn't want to waste the time starting a new book. People spent years of their lives on these books, and I would be annoyed at the last 25% because I went over my allotted 3 days of reading time. I want to savor a book. I don't want to feel rushed through it. I just think reading shouldn't feel like I'm cramming for a test that I'm never going to take. I've heard the argument that booktok is creating the fast fashionification of the book publishing industry. And while I wouldn't necessarily make that leap, I do think that part of my relationship with reading this past year has been driven by the same kind of consumerism bug in my brain. Even though all of these books came from the library, it had that same competitive, possessive undertone. So for 2024, my goal is to read less, enjoy the books more.
Like she said, I think it's better to savor the books you read and actually reflect on the impact these books had on you and give yourself time to absorb the book and the message instead of focusing on the number of books you can read. Someone commented, absolutely, my goal in 2023 was 15 books and I only read 11, but I enjoyed them and remember each one.
You read 100 books in a year with a full-time job? It's not that hard. This is my full-time job and I read 75 books last year, so maybe that just means I'm being lazy, but 100 books in a year is a book every 3 to 4 days. If you read 1 page per minute, that's 60 pages in an hour. If you read 100 pages every single day and you read a 300 to 400 page book, you can finish a book every 3 to 4 days. That would make you hit the mark. And that just means that you would need to read for anywhere between an hour to 2 hours a day. When you come home from work, do you watch TV? If you have a regular 9 to 5, do you watch TV? If so, how many episodes of a show do you watch? Maybe like 1 episode and a half before you make dinner or after you make dinner, whatever, however you spend your night. If you're watching like 2 45-minute episodes after work, you can read 100 books a year.
Someone commented, "Why does anyone care? Reading isn't a competition. I'm a lifelong reader, and this new culture of reading X amount of books is so strange to me. Read what you want when you want." I completely agree with that. It is not a competition. I think it's great if you go on booktok and someone inspires you to read more. That's amazing, but it's not about who can read the most. And she does have a point. Sometimes people complain about things like, oh, I don't have time for reading, or I don't have time to go to the gym, but people end up watching TV shows instead. But I think at the same time, she is overestimating the amount of free time that people have. A lot of people work 9 to 5 jobs, they have hour-long commutes, they have kids, they have friends, they have other things that take up their time, and a lot of people don't have an hour or two free to even watch TV shows. I personally don't even have time for TV shows. If you have a goal of reading more or want to spend more time on your hobbies, I say start small. I read this great book called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and he says to start small and build a system. For example, reading 5 minutes per day or reading 1 page per day. Starting small helps you build that daily habit and seems less intimidating than just jumping straight into reading 1 hour per day. Another thing that's really popular in the booktok community is collecting a bunch of different special editions of the same book. Special editions have just become this cash grab. We're getting special editions of paperback books, when in the past, special editions used to be hardcovers with sprayed edges and beautiful artwork. But really, now they're just trying to make any book a special edition so that they can make more money.
It's been a while since I did this, and everyone really liked it last time.
This influencer has a beautiful library behind her. I will give her that, but this is definitely not the norm for most people. And she is saying in this video that she has all of these special editions of the same book. I understand that people like to collect books as a hobby, but do you really need a stack that big of one title? I counted the books and there were about 30, so she has 30 copies of the same book. And yes, I know that the art is different and the edges might be sprayed, but at what point is this just crossing into overconsumption? Also, just side note, imagine having to move houses with that many books. That would be such a nightmare.
I know you're probably thinking, what the hell? I went a little overboard in January. I did not realize it was this bad until I saw it all stacked up like this.
In my opinion, when it gets to this point, it's just a shopping addiction and you want that dopamine hit from buying something new and you're no longer collecting the books to read them. And I feel like this emphasis on buying new books is the problem with booktok. They seem to shun libraries, buying used books, little free libraries, all the other mindful ways that books can be consumed. Let's remember that TikTok thrives on trends. What's hot one week is forgotten about the next. I think we all need to take a big pause and think about what we're doing before we spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on a new hobby when we're not even sure if we're actually going to enjoy it. We don't need to monetize our hobbies. We don't need to perform our hobbies for a bunch of strangers on the internet. And we definitely don't need hundreds of books or thousands of colored markers in order to enjoy our hobbies. Because if you feel the need to constantly buy things in order to feel connected to your hobby, then is it really a hobby or is it just a shopping problem? Again, this is not a knock on coloring or reading. Art and creativity is amazing and it's so good for us, but it crosses a line when people are doing it for the wrong reasons and over-consuming in the process. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know if you've come across colortok or booktok or any of those hobby corners of the internet, and please let me know what you think of them down below, and if you've ever felt pressure to spend money on something to show that you're actually into it. Thank you guys again, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!